Good day, my name is Eleanor Lowe and welcome to Open Studio. As part of Cape Town TV's production and mentorship program, I'm hosting and producing a show called Elle-Vate, where we share stories, we celebrate, and we elevate colored leaders creating change and making a difference in Cape Town and in South Africa. My guest today is Rushdin Jazz. Rushdin Jazz is a leadership and development coach. He's a singer, he's a songwriter, he's an internationally renowned musician, and there's so many more to him. Rushdin, welcome to Cape Town TV and welcome to Elle-Vate.
Delighted to be here, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. What I want to share with our viewers today is your story of overcoming cancer. But before I start with that, I want to know more about you and who you are. Tell us a bit more about Rushdin, where you grew up, what inspired you to become a musician. But just about your childhood first, please.
Right, so born in 1978, so that's my age.
Oh, you're giving your age away. Cool.
Born in Mitchell's Plain, went to Parkers Primary, literally we lived in Wuppertal Close, which is literally like opposite Parkers Primary. Was there until like standard 4. I still call it standards because I'm from the old school.
Same here,
yeah.
I'm giving my age away.
Right, and then my late grandpa passed away, my dad's father. And they gave him the house, and then we moved to Athlone. And so from about standard 4, right up until high school, I lived in Athlone, went to school at Athlone High, Ellisdale Primary School, musically, it's interesting, like I got a little scholarship to study music at a local music college in Athlone called Prompt Music School. And subsequently, I discovered when I auditioned that my surname, Jazz, was the original way that jazz, the genre, was spelled in the 70s in New Orleans.
With one Z?
It was actually with double S.
Yes.
And then because of the phonetics and the way people were pronouncing it, they actually changed it to Z, you know? So that was really fascinating. I didn't know that, you know what I mean? And that's how my artist name as well was sort of derived.
I think we should tell the viewers your name is Rushdin Jazz, J-A-Z.
Yes.
But the surname originally is J-A-S-S.
Yes.
Now I'm sure as a child,
right.
Sorry guys, people must have ridiculed you with that surname, those that speak Afrikaans.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even throughout that, you know what I mean? And you get to a point where you're so comfortable with it, you know, and you're like, yeah, I have my moments. Depending on the context.
Do you think that is why you changed it to jazz, so the musical part would come out a bit more?
Definitely. And also, that's what people were calling me regardless. Even on school, they were calling me the jazz man. There was that shadowy aspect that comes with human nature. But for the most part, people were calling me Mr. Jazz anyway.
You know, I like the fact where people say you grow into your name.
Right.
And you kind of become that as part of your identity. And we can go into a lengthy discussion about identity. But from a child, do you know that music was going to be a part of your journey or your career that you're going to morph into, like starting out?
Sure. I knew that I wanted to be in the arts. I actually originally wanted to pursue academic studies in the arts. And with the encouragement of my parents, and I'm so grateful that they nudged me in this direction, subsequently they said to me, at that time, they said it's not a very stable space to go into. You know?
We hear that often.
Yeah, and so they said to me, get something in the business space under your belt first, which is what I did subsequently. I studied marketing and business management for 4 years, and then later on did a postgrad in professional coaching. But I always had a heart gravitation towards the creative space, and I always knew at some juncture I'm going to go back, you know, and then merge the two, which is what I have done. I've merged the business academic side with the creative side, because I think there's also a bit of a gap in that space at the moment where the integration of those two exists. Yeah.
Definitely. I'm going to come to that, but there's something I want to ask you. Your music seems very inspirational.
Right.
Where do you draw your inspiration from?
A couple of things. First and foremost, I think fundamentally it's about co-creation and collaboration. You know, I mean, there's just something precious about that concept. I mean, it's how we got here.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
and so I love collaboration. I love co-writing songs. I've written songs. I've co-written songs. I've had songs written for me. Some of my favorite songs are songs that I never wrote. You know, like Inside and Out.
Inside and out.
written by Clive Ridgway.
Yes. I
who's
wasn't going to
written-
mention names.
Right, and who's written for Jonathan Butler, Judas
Yes, I
Sepulveda, to
believe
mention a
so.
few. And so it's a real privilege. I mean, like, Frank Sinatra didn't write My Way.
Really?
Paul Anka wrote My Way.
I
you
didn't know that.
So, I mean, there's a lot of stories like that people don't know, and that speaks volumes of interdepending, collaborating,
Correct.
co-creation, you know what I mean? There's
Correct.
something special there, and I love that, you know.
You're also brand ambassador for, is it with Clive Ridgway, for a music school? Which music school
Cape
is
Town
that?
School of Songwriting
Okay.
and Music Exchange, which is a conference.
Okay.
you know.
In short, Music Exchange, what is it about?
So Music Exchange is an annual music conference that exists to create a safe space for young, aspiring and emerging creatives to connect with more established, seasoned or tenured musicians like you. Sipo Hostix sits on the board as well. It was founded by Martin Myers, and we host a number of different speakers on every fundamental aspect of the music business, from writing songs to production to PR, managing your brand, artist
Great.
management. So sort of a holistic view of how the nuts and bolts work together to make a sustainable
I
career.
like that because, like you said earlier, somehow there's a gap between being creative and being business-minded,
Right.
because everyone believes you need to be in business or you need to be creative. Why can't you marry the two? What is your viewpoint on that?
I think there's enough space for everybody under the sun, man. You get
Yes.
the purists that are just want to be artistic and craftsmen, and
Yeah.
and there's a space for that, you
Good,
know.
okay.
And they need to just be, I refer to them as creative souls. They simply need to just align with people that are engaged in those faculties, you know what I mean. And then you
Okay.
get others that are really passionate about just the business,
Yes.
you know. And then you get maybe an anomaly like me that has the passion for both, you know.
Both.
So.
Yeah.
I think there's enough space for everybody, you know.
And would you say the Music Exchange would be able to assist those that are musically minded and those that are business minded to elevate their careers to the next level?
Absolutely,
Okay.
bridging the gap. We want to bridge the gap, you know, so that you understand music as a business, you know,
Yes.
not just one aspect of it,
Yeah.
because it's really a holistic thing, you know. You got to understand all the faculties and how they work together to create the whole. And when I say whole, I'm speaking about sustainability, you know what I mean, and longevity.
Can we with confidence say that artists and creatives out there in Cape Town watching this program right now, that they can make a career from music or anything that is creative? Because so many times you hear parents saying, you need to have backup, you need to get your degree.
Right. Well, my personal observation and testimony on my own journey is that, and I've been mentored by the likes of your crowd, Ridgway, Heartsticks,
Yes.
R.J. Benjamin, Trevor Jones, you know, and they all
Trevor
have said,
Jones.
they've all said to me something very similar, you know. In a South African context, you need to leverage off all your skills.
Yes.
So you need to be able to channel your income and your sustainability from more than one aspect. And it could still be in the creative space. With me, there's parts of me in corporate, parts of me in coaching,
Notice
parts of me in
that.
music, and it all makes up the whole. And so I think particularly in a South African context, that is a significant characteristic.
Rushdin, you sound like a Renaissance man, but I'm going to take a short break and I want to come back to you and carry on with this journey, but I want to come back to the leadership and development skills that I want to share with the viewers out there. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to share a very personal journey with Rushdin. Thank you. And we're back with Rushdin Jazz, and this is going to be a little bit different in our conversation. Rushdin's life took a bit of a turn, and I'm actually going to sit back a little and let him share that part of his life with our viewers today. Rushdin, you were then diagnosed with colon cancer,
Yeah.
and you were almost like being at the height of your career, I would say, and then the diagnosis. What was going through your head at that time when you heard you have colon cancer?
Yeah.
What was the first thing that went through your head?
Well, initially it's like shock, man, you know, because it's so surreal. You think that it's so far-fetched and, you know, and so far from you, and it's not. It's like, it's every week we hear of somebody,
Yes.
you know, literally.
I just heard about someone 2 days ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my mom was with me. I'll never forget, we were together, and she just took my hand and she said, you know, we're going to get through this together. And yeah, you know, you have your ups and downs, you know, but I just knew that a deep recognition kicked in about how precious life is, how precious time is, and that none of us are Teflon coated, you know. And so that question of how do you want to use your time became very compelling. I mean, when you're off for 19 months, not being able to work, 19 months, having to stand in a queue in Fort Trekker Road for UIF, you know, and you appreciate it because there was no other income source at the time because you can't work, you know, and you got a bag attached to your tummy, and and you just realize just how precious time and life is, you know. And they say like time is a non-renewable resource, you know. So the question is, how do you want to use your time? And so a lot of reflection, a lot of introspection, a lot of prayer, a lot of support from the collective space, from my family, and my music was certainly a huge and continues to be a huge part of my self-care and healing toolkit, if I can call it that, you know. But yeah, that was a very, very dark time.
Your family, how did they cope with what you were experiencing? You mentioned your mom.
Right.
Earlier you mentioned that you have little nieces that you're very close to.
Right.
How did they cope with you being ill at that stage?
Yeah, I think it was very challenging for them, and I also realized subsequently that sometimes you get so caught up in yourself, man, you know, and what you're going through, and you kind of become a little bit ignorant by default as to the impact on the people around you, you know, and what this is like for them, you know. And my dad particularly was a typical alpha male, you know, and
a strong colored man.
Yes, you know, and he's taught me so much, and I'll never forget that day when we were waiting for the results to come back, you know, and he came to my room and he also shed a tear with me, you know.
Was that the first time you saw your dad cry?
He doesn't cry often, but like in the past, in retrospect, when his mother passed away and his dad passed away, certainly in those occasions. But and didn't really hit home to me how serious this is, you know, not only for myself but for the people around me as well, you know, and they also need support, you know what I mean? So yeah.
You said they also needed support. I can just hear the compassion, you know, flowing from you, that you were concerned about them too.
Right.
How did they, before I ask you where you gained your strength from, how did they get support as a family? Because there are other families out there where one of their loved ones might have been diagnosed, and as we said, it's not a death sentence. Is there support for families out in the communities and where they can reach out to?
I think there definitely is. Like I know with cancer care or Randbosch Oncology, where I did my chemo, I mean they have support systems in place there in terms of free counseling and support groups as well. There are many out there, you know. And from a family perspective, my mom is the spiritual pillar of stability and strength in our family, and both of them, my mom, my dad, are my biggest inspirations, you know, in terms of where they've come from. And my mom's like the glue that holds everyone together, you know. She's the one that's composed, she's the one that has unmistakable, unquestionable faith that everything's gonna be fine, you know, and that plays a huge role.
You mentioned the word faith. Where did you draw your strength from?
Right.
Because did you know that there's a purpose that you want to live, you want to overcome it? I don't want to use the word survive, I almost want to use the word overcome. But just where did you gain your strength from day to day?
It's interesting you mentioned that, the words around survivor and stuff like that, because I also don't use that word, you know. I really just think that, you know, we all have a start date and an end date, you know, and I think that I've just been given a bit more time and an experience to elevate my awareness around how I want to occupy my time. I think, and it's all relative, you know. Some people have heart conditions, some people are standing at the robots begging for food. I don't believe my struggle's any more important or less important than those issues and challenges, you know. So the question is, you know, why are we here, you know, and what do we want to do with the time that we have left, regardless of whether it shows up in the form of cancer or something else, you know what I mean? It's about,
Your music, in that time, you were a singer, you were a songwriter.
Right.
Were you writing lyrics? Is there reflection like in your music now of that experience? Tell us a bit more about that.
Absolutely. So while I was in hospital, actually, because I had 3 major surgeries, ileostomy bag attached to the right side of my tummy, and 8 rounds of chemotherapy. And I'll never forget when I had to go back to have the bag reversed was supposed to be for 2 weeks, but it ended up being 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And one of my producers, Clive Ridgway, he sent me a song called Inside and Out, man.
I love that song.
And he said to me, Rish, I want you to listen to this track. I know you're in hospital, but listen to this track. And when you're ready and you come out, then we can do something, And it was part and parcel of like what stimulated my mind while I was in hospital. I was like, just like listening to the lyrics and singing, and getting ready, And as soon as I got discharged, I felt like I got paroled and I went straight to studio,
You were ready.
And then we recorded the song, and it's so ironic that the song was called Inside and Out.
Yes.
Because that's quite layered and ambiguous, because I actually was having some of my insides taken.
Oh my head. Don't tell us.
At the risk of being too graphic, but it's a beautiful, whimsical love song, light-hearted, just about falling in love with somebody or falling in love with life.
Falling in love with life.
Yeah.
Gratitude. At one stage, you were performing at a cafe called the Gratitude Cafe.
Right.
Tell us about gratitude.
Yeah. Oh man, gratitude for me is, it's the ultimate emotion, because it doesn't matter whether your focus is too much on the future or too much on the past. Gratitude is that one thing that can bring you back into the present, where you just become really mindful of, as they say in a carp, it doesn't matter how flat you roll a roti, there will always be two sides, you know what I mean? So which side do you want to focus on, You can focus on what's wrong with the world.
Yes.
That's fine, there's a space for that, and at the same time, there's a space to focus on what you're grateful for.
Thank you so much, Rushdin. I so wanted to touch on that we should be grateful for every moment in our life, and that you overcame that battle, and here you are sharing your story with us. We're going to take a quick ad break just to give both of us a bit of a breather, and we'll be back with you shortly. And we're back with Rushdin Jazz, who is a singer-songwriter. He's correcting me all the time. Should I say personal development or leadership coach?
Both.
Or both. But this part of the journey, Rushdin is going to share with us. What does that mean? We always hear this term, someone's being a personal development or is a leadership coach. And Rushdin, I want you to share with us, what exactly does the term personal development mean to you?
Sure, so the first aspect would be the personal development or the leadership aspect. So I'm a leadership development specialist in the corporate space.
Okay.
And then I have a private coaching practice, and that's where the personal development coaching comes in.
Okay.
So I had the privilege of getting a scholarship or bursary to pursue academic studies at the Integral Coaching Center in Berkeley,
Okay.
where I graduated to about 2 years. I did it part-time as a practitioner coach.
Okay.
And basically, coaching is really about bridging the gap between current realities and desired outcomes. So there's a place for therapy, counseling, and all that. Coaching is very future-focused, very progressive, and it's about really helping people become more aware of how they're showing up in the world in relation to their values, their emotions, their personal goals, their ambitions, and how we can bridge that gap using different methodology, frameworks, etc.
Okay. Now, in our society,
Right.
people are geared to, you go to school, you go to university, you buy a home, you get the car, you get the pool, you get everything. How important is personal development for people today? We've got the youth, we've got young people watching this program. Personal development, is it important to get to know who you are as a person? And why is it so important to you?
I think so, and this is certainly not a projection into the rest of the world, but personally, I feel like it's very important to start with, who you are, man, and that's a challenging question to ask, you know what I mean? And what I've realized over the years is that a good place to start, I call it reverse engineering.
And what is that?
And this occurred to me after the cancer experience, is something very simple but quite compelling, and that is, how do you want to be remembered?
That's a good one.
Yeah. And once you take the time to reflect on that question, you can put together a set of values that you want to hold yourself accountable to, that can show up in the form of a compass, and that can help you make decisions, man. So, for example, Simon Sinek, I love him.
Is that the Know Your Why?
So his book is called Start With Why, and I basically just I call it #KnowYourWhy.
And what is Know Your Why?
So he speaks about this thing called the Golden Circle, which is a depiction of what made Apple so successful at inception. He says that in the middle you got why, and then you got what, and then you got how, right?
Okay.
And he said Apple at that time, where everyone had exactly the same resources, access to infrastructure, etc., they were the only ones that took a few steps back to focus on clarifying their purpose and why they're doing this. Whereas the competition was focusing more on what and how, they focused more on why. And once they knew why and they were able to crystallize their values and the governing principles behind why they're doing this, they made that speak through the what and the how. You know what I mean? So I think once you clarify what true north is on your compass in terms of why you're here, and that's a good place to start. Like I said, how do you want to be remembered? After you have interactions with people, how do you want them to remember you? You know, and then start creating a set of values that become your compass, and that can help you make decisions about where you want to go in life. You know what I mean?
You know, life isn't easy. We get challenged all the time. You had your cancer journey. What message do you have for people out there that are feeling down or despondent or don't have any direction or going through a very tough time at the moment? It might not be cancer, it might be that they're looking for a job, something that is very important to them. What message do you have for them regarding purpose?
So, first and foremost, faith and prayer is so powerful. You know, support of your family and friends. And something very specific that really I became to realize going through that process is when you're engaging in a healing journey, regardless of what the challenge is, you need to engage with all the faculties. And when I say faculties, heart, mind, body, and spirit, man. There's a place for medical, there's a place for therapy, counseling, Reiki, if you're into that, you know, prayer, and I love John Keogh puts it very eloquently. He says that disease shows up in the body when there's a blockage in one of those 4 areas, one or more. It's either a blockage in heart, mind, body, or spirit, you know what I mean? So implicitly, and that's what I used in my journey, and I continue to do it, you know, I'm not perfect, but just trying to be mindful is that when you're engaging in a healing journey, you've got to engage with all 4 of those faculties, not just one of them.
One of them. Do you think that we're so prone to only engage with one aspect and then we become trapped in our situation?
Absolutely.
Because there's poverty out there, there's homelessness out there, there's joblessness out there, and we tend to then focus on the situation. How do we look inwardly and then go outwardly so our outer life can change?
Absolutely. So if you're going to engage with multiple faculties like, you know, either a blockage in the heart, mind, body, and spirit, it may manifest in the body like a cancer, but it could be a blockage because of psychological trauma or stress at work or whatever. So that's why you have to put all those support systems in place, man. You know, yes, you have your surgeon, have your oncologist, also have your coach, also have a therapist, also have a counselor. So it's important.
I hear you, but what if people can't afford that to get a coach and get counseling? Where can they go to within the communities?
I think first and foremost, if all else fails, as I always say, Google.
Okay.
Because we are so privileged to have access to information just like that. And there are so many organizations, NGOs, support, even like I said, that offer free support in terms of that, you know what I mean? So they're all around, you just need to, people just are not aware of it necessarily, you know, and how to access them.
Where can people contact you?
Well, it's Rushdin Jazz on Facebook. It's 1Z, not 2.
Okay, just keep that in mind, and not S.
And it's not RU, it's ROE. But yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and my website is just rushdinjazz.com.
Okay. And Music Exchange, can they contact you there too? If
Music
there's any young
Exchange,
people?
absolutely. Look out for Music Exchange. The conference is happening, I think, in September. We're also hosting monthly master classes. One is this weekend, actually, with RJ Benjamin. So look out for that.
Wonderful. Rushdin, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for sharing your inspirational story with us. I hope somehow the story created some kind of hope in whoever's watching out there, and don't give up, because there's always something called life, irrespective of what you're going through. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to having Open Studio with Marcel Gradwell next week. And that's a wrap.
It's been a long time coming now. We feel so strange that you're so far from home. Mother's calling out your name.